Hello and welcome back to UK Tool Talk. We're talking plumbing today. What we're talking about really is compression fittings, olives, and how to get them off. So I was out the other day with my missus and we'd had to do a little bit of shopping, food shopping, and I needed to get a little bit bobs from B&Q. So we went to Preston, which is near where I live, and the B&Q is here and Asda is here. So I sent my missus into Asda to get their food shopping. She got in a right foul mood, all the idiots in Asda, and I went to B&Q to buy some bits and bobs. I bought a light for the studio, and as I was there, I walked past the plumbing aisle and this caught my eye. This is a Monument Tools compression fitting olive puller. Now I've been in the trade this summer 39 years, and I've never seen one of these, and I know what they were, and I've seen them like on the in the hardware stores there for years and years and years, and I didn't even know how they bloody worked. So anyway, so I got that while my missus was shopping, so that was my little retail therapy. I think it was £25, not cheap, but Monument Tools, they're top notch. We'll go into a bit of a close-up of this actual tool in a minute. So normally, for when I was an apprentice, getting olives off compression fittings, I'll show you how I used to do it. You'll remember this, all you old plumbers out there. So you've got 15mm compression coupling to put on. I'm going to get this taped up, do things properly. Even though, when I've been watching a lot of these YouTube plumbers, no one bloody uses PTFE tape anymore. They seem to use that compound, so I might have to try that. But I'm old school. PTFE on the olive. And then run it up. Like so. Now then, there's always a debate. In fact, there's always a debate about how tight to do these after hand tight. There's a few different factors in it really. If it's an old pipe, the wall might have gone a bit thinner inside. You might have to give it a little bit more nip. But generally, if it's like that and I've just got it hand tight, I need to get these bloody all this stuff cleaned off. I've been working in the rain, so yeah, all my stuff's got a bit rusty. Not like me, is it? So we'll put on this rusty Baco spanner. And some folk say one turn. So go round to that. And then that's round to, oh, yeah. That's tight. You can tell it's tight, but not too tight. Some people, plumbers out there will have come to a fitting where it's been run right to the end. Especially if you're using these. These are copper olives, so they're a lot softer. And yeah, so sometimes if you do get a little bit of a weep on one compression fitting, maybe give it a little bit of a nip, but don't run it. You're more likely to have it sort of carry on weeping if it's run right up really tight. If it starts screaming, folks, plumbing folks, if it's screaming in the fitting when you tighten it, you've gone a little bit too tight. This is another bugbear of mine. People will leave the bit of PTFE on there. Now you can tell when it's tight, right, because it'll just come out because the olive is actually nipped the actual pipe and cut off the PTFE. That looks a lot better. That looks a lot better. So anyway, so what we'll do now is we'll split that apart. And we'll have a look if the olive has gone into the pipe. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Hang on. Right. So I don't know if you can see. Oh, it's hard to see really. You can see that little ridge there. That's where the olive is, and it cuts in there and there on both sides and pushes in and makes the seal. But the olive needs to grip onto the pipe. So the olive does the seal and stopping it blowing off. If you just did like half a nip and the olive didn't really grip onto the pipe, it might seem okay when you just pressure test it originally, but what would happen, it would creep, and then it could be weeks later, months later, and I tell you what, I've seen it years later where it's just poof. And especially if the copper's old and worn and sort of weak, it's more chance than you have like a high pressure, let's say 4 or 5 bar on it. Yes, so if you're in a situation like this and you want to get the olive off, how I used to do it, you remember these back in the day, you used to get a hacksaw like this and then cut the olive. So it's really fiddly, especially if you're in a tight corner. And what happens is, how many times do you think I've cut it's gone through my thumb? Lots of times, I tell you. So then you've got to, when you're cutting the olive, you've got to be very careful about how far you go through. You need to be just and so through. That's about sort of 3/4 of the way through. Just go a little bit further. And then what I do, if I can find it, then what I try and do is get a screwdriver in there. And I hope you can see that. And then, see, it's not cut through enough. No. With it being it's a thick brass olive, that one, so. Right, try that. There. And you can pull the olive off. You can see I've got a couple of little nicks in there. And you can sort of see where the olive was gripping onto the copper pipe. Actually, looking at that, it could have, I think it'd have been all right, but yeah. In the thing about it blowing off, I would like to a little bit more of a nip on that. So anyway, so that's how I used to do it back in the day. What we'll do is put a fresh olive on. Won't bother with the tape this time. And give that a nip up. We'll give it a little bit more this time. There, that's tight. So we'll just take it off again. Right then, so after doing years and years with a bloody hacksaw and cutting the end of my thumb, I thought I'll try and get one of these. This is an olive cutter. Now this is only a cheapie off the internet, and I've actually had to mess about with that a little bit. It wasn't really sharp enough. So these tools you put on from the end. So I'll try and get a good angle. So this bit here, the flat bit there, that goes inside the pipe. Hang on, oh. Hang on. And then you just press down and try and get a good view of it. Hang on. Like that. As you can see, what happens is it loosens it a little bit. We'll just do another cut. Sometimes it'll cut all the way through the olive and the olive will just split. But see, it did at that time on the... It didn't really cut all the way through it. It just spread it a bit, so it came off. So that's all right. So that's better than the hacksaw, but you know, it depends what I've got to hand. So I thought, is this going to be a better option than a hacksaw or this olive cutter? So we're going to test it out. So I'm going to put another, put quite a chunky olive on that. I will put a bit of PTFE tape on. I will put a bit on. Actually, no, hang on. What we're going to do, to be fair, is we're going to cut a fresh end on it. Quite like this little Bako pipe slice. Yeah, it's nice. A nice unit, that. Quite expensive, them pipe slices, them Bako ones. Anyway, so where were we? Oh yeah, putting the olive on. Right, we'll give that a tighten up. We'll give it a good nip. Bloody hell, that's not going anywhere. Right, we'll loosen it again. Right then. Yeah, that's got a really good nip. So what we're going to do now is try this. Amazing. Well, we don't know if it's amazing. I've never tried one. We'll go into all the little finer details of this in a bit. But this outer bit is for 22mm compression fittings. So we can wind that off. And then you've got to pull this bit right into the body. Like so, until it stops. And then you put it on like that. I don't know if you meant to tighten that up, but anyway, maybe. Anyway, what we'll do is we'll put it comes with this little Tommy bar. This is a bit of work of art, but you've got to take the plastic bit off and shove it through and put the plastic bit back on, which is a little bit of a pain. But then you just wind it. I think we're gonna have to grip. I think we're gonna have to grip onto it. Okay, here we go again. Crikey Moses! This is bloody hard work. Ugh. I must be doing something wrong. Now then, this is interesting. So, as you know, me turning this Tommy bar, crikey Moses, it was bloody really hard. I thought, oh, I'm doing it wrong. I must be doing it wrong. So this bit here is meant to go inside the pipe, and this little collar here is meant to be level with the end of the pipe, and this bit pushes the pipe off the olive. Now then, so the olive is obviously on super tight, and instead of pulling the olive, it swaged out the end of the copper pipe there. So it was all jammed up, and there was no way that olive was going to come off. I might have to do a couple more goes, but like I said, I've not tested this before. Am I doing something wrong? I don't know, but if it does that, I just thought it'd fly it off. Did I have the olive too tight? Possibly. It is a brass olive. We'll just try and cut it off with this thing again. No, this olive's not coming off. Look how flared it is on the end. I'd have to cut that off. Do you know what I mean? To start again, really. But we're going to try again and see if we can. If it was you, could be user error. I've never used this tool before, but my initial thing was that, yeah, it needs to be a really flat end on the copper. And anyway, I'll try it again. Well, I've nipped an olive back on. No tape this time, but yeah, that's sound. That won't leak. So I'll try this monument tool again. So this bit slots into there, like that, and you run that up, put the nut on, and let's see if it's any easier. I think we'll still have to grip it. Ah, feels different altogether. Oh wow. Yeah, that's it. Let's have a look at it. Yeah, it's come off. So the olive must be in the back of there. Yeah, it is. Wow, that actually works quite well. Okay, another feature of this mmmmm olive puller is this bit here that'll go into a drill. So you take the Tommy bar off. I've already got an olive sort of onto there. So I'll run that up. Tighten that up. And then what you do, I've got my trusty Makita drill. I'm going to put that onto speed 1. So apparently, what I'm going to do is, first of all, is just try holding it and see how easy that is. Or I might have to put the spanner on it. Yep. Hang on. Right then, we'll try it like this. Bloody hell. That was good. That was really good. And you could see the olive was well on there. Yeah, a little bit too tight really. But yeah, I'll get the olive out. Yeah, and that was a brass olive. That was a brass olive, so it's doing all right. I think we should try a bit of the 22 one. Now regarding when the olive is on really tight, it doesn't help that much when you have a pipe slice cut. Now all plumbers use, no one cuts pipe with a hacksaw anymore, but what it ends up doing is just rolling the end over. So with that rolling of the end over, and you've got this bit in here, you can see where it's wanting to sort of like go out there, splage. You can see it's wanting to kind of expand there. So if the olive's on really tight, maybe not so good. But we'll try a bit of 22. Right, we've got a 22 blank end on. It's got a brass olive, so we'll just give this a nip up. Now with the 22 one, obviously it's a little bit sort of tighter to tighten up, and that one turn past hand tight, yeah, as you can see, yeah, it's tight that. Right, I've tightened that up nice and tight, so I'll just get the cap end off. Now to turn it into a 22mm olive puller, you thread this bit on like so, and then you thread the other bit right back, and there's a bit here. This is the bit that goes inside there like that. So that's got to go inside the tool like that, like so, and then it's ready to go. So I'm going to try it straight off with the drill and see if it'll drag this 22 olive off. So here we go. Bloody hell. Easy. Yeah. I'm going to try and do it one more time and get the olive really crushed on. Right, that olive, I've over tightened it really. That olive is really crushed on. So we'll have another go at it. Need to wind this bit right back. Okay, so we'll put that bit in, and we'll tighten it up. Spanner on. Right, Here we go. No bother. You can see it was well on that olive. Another good thing about this thing is this adapter bit for 22 olives. You can just wind that on like that, so it won't get sort of like in the bottom of the toolbox or lost. Now I think the bit there that goes onto a drill, I think there's an earlier version without that on. This is sort of like an adaptation of this tool to make it work with cordless drills. So that's fucking super good for monument, you know what I mean? And moving forward, they could have left that bit out. But this tool, I think it's a bloody amazing thing. It's a beautiful thing as well. Let's have a bit of a close-up look at the milling on it. Bloody hell, it could go on a mantelpiece, this, I reckon. Yeah, it's really, really nice. The Tommy bar thing, I don't think I'd ever use it. I'd only use this running on a drill, really. So then, what's my overall view of this Monument Tools compression fitting olive puller? I think they've got the patent on it, actually. I think, yeah, they own the rights to this tool. I think there is maybe another version that someone's got around the patent, but I don't know. Anyway, so I've never used it before, and when I was using it sort of with you good folk, right, it was the first time I've ever tried. It's not like I've done loads of testing with it, so it just takes a little bit of getting used to. But the thing is, obviously in the past, if you get olives off, hacksaw's a crap way to do it. And where's the other thing at? And this thing, it's okay sometimes, but sometimes it can mark the pipe. What I mean is, if you get a really, really hard sort of olive and you're crushing it like that, you can see it puts a little line in it. And you can get a water path through there. So I think this is going to go in my toolbox. It'll fit in my toolbox nice and tidily. I wouldn't want that in my toolbox all the time because it's not the kind of thing I use very often. But this is going straight in my toolbox to use for pulling 15 and 22mm olives off, as long as they're not really, really, really nipped on. You might have odd one which won't come off. Now, other things of note is sometimes we use these valves here, which is the 15mm bore lever valve by Boss, and for God knows why, it's a different thread. So the nut side of it is obviously completely different than that. That's never going to go onto there. So the nut that goes on here will not work on this machine. Now 95% of the compression fittings are this thread, or the 22 one, that thread there. So you probably won't, you might not come across, if you do use these, I don't fucking like these, but just because they've got a really fine thread, and sometimes they'll skip. I much prefer the coarser threads of the normal compression fitting. Got a bit of tape on there, hang on a minute. There. Okay, so I think I've said all that we're going to say. I'm going to give this some more testing. If you haven't seen one of these before or fancied getting one, my initial reaction was, yeah, it's expensive at 25 quid, but it's a marvel, Like I said, now they've got the screwdriver, the drill driver attachment rather than that bar thing. Yeah, you still got to grab hold of it, as far as I can see, with an adjustable spanner or some grips on there. You can go onto the flats there, or you can go onto the nail bit there with some water pump pliers. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. I'm stoked to bits. Okay, another review out of the way. It's all getting a bit serious here. But anyway, I hope that's been fun watching that. And I will see you next week on UK Tool Talk.